Good morning, everyone. Welcome once again to Athena Games. My name is Elliot Baker, your regular X-Wing commentator, and sitting to my right today is my comrade, my wingman for the day, Mr. Robin Farndon. Hello, Robin. Welcome back.
Good to be here.
You've just actually, at the beginning of the month, or late February, you took part in the Lothal Open, didn't you?
The Yavin Open.
The Yavin Open, that was it, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic event. About 370 players, so massive number of people. A really good environment as well. I'm always impressed by just how pleasant and relaxed these large X-Wing events are by comparison to some other large gaming events I've been to. It's all very friendly. We didn't have to call the judge over for any of my games, even though we'd got some sort of tough competitive stuff going on at various different times. I had some very good opponents. Got soundly thrashed in several of my games. I'm going to
as you do.
I took Paratani and ended up playing 2 Paratani mirror matches, which feels justified.
Given how predominant the list was at the time, it's no surprising. I think I once saw a top 8 cut and it was 7 out of the 8 lists were Paratani, and I think that's where the nerf was justified. And maybe we'll discuss that later on during the day. But you and I were just discussing about how, we're doing a stream, we do one every month, but it's getting harder to find a moment where there's not a tournament or a big one, like a regional or an open series. It's hard to find a slot where there's not a big X-Wing event going on, really.
We've not had an off season this year, really. We've gone straight from Store Championships, regionals, Nationals, Worlds, right back into the sweep up to Worlds. And I think this is why we've seen people being very conservative in terms of their list building decisions. We've just had a big FAQ that's hit recently that's changed a lot of what the really kind of high level popular lists can do. But we're still seeing things that are very similar to them popping up quite a bit. And I think that's because people haven't had that opportunity, that kind of sort of quarterly tournament kits, the Store Championships levels, to test out something new and experimental. So people are defaulting back to things that are tried and tested and know how to fly.
So that they don't have to worry. Because bringing a new list to any event is a very nerve-wracking experience, because even if you tested it, you still don't know. Depending on your meta and how big your local community is, you might not have been given a full chance to test that list in a competitive environment. We're lucky that here we have quite a very expanded meta. We have at least probably about 10 regulars, would you say? Well, I'd say more than that,
It can be quite impressive. The regular Wednesday flight night that we do at Athena can easily be sort of 6 or 7 tables of X-Wing happening, just entirely kind of spontaneously. Which is nice, and it does mean that if you're keen to get some practice games in, you can get a lot going on. Though it's very interesting to note how our local meta is quite different to kind of the established wisdom in many ways.
Yeah, this is the thing which I've been curious about, why our meta is so different and varied compared to other ones. I think it had its problems at times, but it's been fairly a balanced meta, really. Even to the point where we saw 4 X-Wings nearly take it a few tournaments ago during the Hangar Bay event. That was quite an amazing thing to watch, especially against that the list we saw was against Paratani itself. And Wojtek, who eventually ended up in the top, 8 at Yavin?
Top 8 at Yavin, top 8, top 4 at the regional in Daventry as well.
There you go.
He's very firmly establishing himself as proper top tier player there.
It's nice that we do have our kind of top tier player. We can brag about Wojtek. But we got an interesting couple of lists to go on the first match, haven't we, today?
We do, yes.
And absolutely crazy. Should we just quickly get the list and have a run through them for the viewers?
So I know we've got Chris Burdett, and then who's he going up against for this?
He's going up against Oliver Walker-Keough, I believe. Or is it Duncan? No, it's Duncan.
Duncan. I don't think we've got a physical printout of his list.
I do have a digital copy of his list, which is good.
Chris's list, at least, is nice and straightforward to run through.
Yep.
It is 4 Black Sun Enforcer StarVipers with no upgrades.
Simple to the point.
nothing.
completely bare. For there's a brave man for you.
Yeah.
A very brave man.
Having said that, I think they might do a bit more than people are expecting. Like you're talking about a 3 attack dice, 3 agility ship, so they're not casually easily taken out before they get to shoot. And that pilot skill 1 plus boost plus barrel roll can make them a very nimble and agile blocker. And if you suddenly find yourself with your ace blocked by one of those and 3 other guns on point, you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. Whereas the other list that Duncan is running he's running a double Punisher list, which of course for those of you that are tuned in that have not read.
Oh no, that's
Oliver. It is Oliver. Sorry.
The round has begun.
Is it Duncan we're again? Who's
Duncan versus Chris Burdett.
Awesome. So yeah, that's Duncan's list. Sorry, Duncan is running a StarViper, which is Guri, and 3 Black Sun 085 soldiers.
Yes, you've got them right around.
Yes.
Duncan's on the left.
Yes.
Chris is on the right.
Thank you. This is our technical judge right there, just giving us a bit of report about the way they're set up currently, and I believe they're currently going to set up. So let's switch our camera over to the bear feed right now. So there's Chris Burdett on the right and Duncan on the left, and I'm going to try and get their lists up ASAP on the overlay for our viewers so they can clearly see what we have going on. We've had Duncan on the stream quite a few times. Chris has not been down here for a while.
No, he's been away from the game for a little bit, but he's quite a skilled player.
Oh yeah, don't count him out.
I've had some very tough matches against Chris in the past.
Yes, I recall going. Well, actually not going against him, but I remember seeing Chris. The last time I think I saw him, although he might have come here before and I've just not noticed. But the last time I saw him was back in Wave 4, believe it or not.
Oh wow!
Yeah, back in the old store when we were running the Imdar Alpha event. And I believe he walked away with an E-wing that day. So
nice.
I'm not sure how well that's doing for him these days, but I'm sure eventually it'll become much more useful.
I mean, Corrin's still doing all right, still regularly getting top 2
Oh, yeah,
placements.
but Corrin is Corrin. You could expect Corrin to do well. You know, there's never a debate whether Corrin is going to do well at all. It's just how reliable can it be for other pilots. I mean, I think we've pretty much established that poor old Tanabat is useful, but only really during Epic.
Yeah.
That's where his points become much more worthwhile. And the generics are just too overpriced. Very much the same thing as the Defender, really, in many ways. Which hopefully we'll see the poor old E-Wing get something eventually. I would be very shocked if it gets nothing.
Yeah.
I think they have to address it at some point.
I think the big challenge that FFG have got with the E-Wing is finding a slot in their release schedule to put something in for it. Because with the new films, with Rebels,
yes,
with everything else, and wanting each wave to consist of new ships rather than revisiting old ones, they're quite limited in terms of the chances to pop something in.
That is true. I mean, all we need is for the E-Wing to appear in some kind of canon media, and they have an excuse really to do an Aces pack. But it's one of those few ships that are still relegated to the backlog of legends, as it is now known as. Which thankfully we're starting to get more legends start to crop up again. Which was something which we may want to talk about, which is a Wave 11 announcement.
Yeah.
I was very pleased to see some legend ships in that, because I did wonder whether we'd seen the last of legend ships because of the way Lucasfilm probably would want to push new things, you know. But I'm very glad to see that I was wrong.
Yeah.
That did fill me with a lot of kind of, oh yeah, great, we're going to still be seeing E-Wings and all the likes. So I'm very pleased about that.
I was genuinely surprised by the contents of Wave 11. Like I was fully anticipating the Skurg, because it's been in Armada for a while. It's a relatively well established expanded universe character, so it's something I was anticipating coming along. But the TIE Aggressor and the Wookiee gunship were both not at all what I'd expected to see.
The Wookiee gunship, no. The Aggressor, yes, because I definitely saw what they were trying to do. They were looking to get an Empire ship that could take a turret upgrade. It was the one part of the meta that was really not there for the Imperials. They had no options for turret carriers, so I thought it was inevitable. Of course, they were going to get a turret carrier at some point. It was inevitable, in my opinion.
We've got some movement on the board.
Yep.
Chris is doing some interesting staggered movement here. I think trying to spread his fire arcs a little bit wider and give him an opportunity to catch something in arc.
Which is a 4-on-4 list, so there's equal balance in terms of numbers. However, the points are where it all matters. And he may want to keep his and be careful with StarVipers because there are assault missiles on those Z95s, and they of course can wreck any form of formation at all, especially with StarViper being quite fragile as a ship.
Interestingly as well, Duncan's got the distinct pilot skill advantage here because those are Black Sun soldiers rather than Benari pirates. So all clocking in at pilot skill 3 and then pilot skill 5 for Guri, of course. So
and of course it will easily beat the Black Sun Enforcer's pilot skill of 1, which is fairly very low. And when I saw that 4 of them were in there, I actually thought there would be upgrades on them, but I'm very surprised to see that there's nothing, and they still all come to 100 points.
Yeah.
It kind of makes you wonder, well, what's the StarViper's thing, really? And I think that's another ship we should be expecting something for at some point, because you just don't see it that often, and it's not really worth the points unless you're going for an ace. Even then, you're probably going to go for Guri, because Shizor's not that brilliant, to be quite fair, unless you build around Shizor himself. Unfortunately, in my experience, building around an entire mechanic rarely works sometimes. It depends on the list, I think. What's your opinion?
I like Guri. I prefer Zizor, to be honest. I've had a lot more luck with him as a pilot. But some of that's to do with the fact that I've flown Zizor an awful lot more than Guri, so I'm very comfortable and confident about what he can do as a pilot and where I need to position him. If I'd been flying today, I would have been taking a fairly kitted out veteran instincts as Izor plus 2 Trandoshan slavers with tacticians for a lot of beef to pass damage across to.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a shame really when you think about it, because Shizor's ability is so thematically good for him and such an interesting mechanic that you kind of wonder, why you don't see him as often. I mean, he essentially is a reverse Biggs in many ways, and Biggs sees a lot of play. I think the thing about Biggs that makes him powerful is, of course, he forces you to attack him, whereas with Shizor, that's not really an option. You have to, you have to absorb damage almost, or give off damage to someone else. So someone has to attack you, and of course, where the rare instance where it's unlikely someone will attack you unless you're the only viable target. Which then you have to arc dodge the rest of your crew while keeping Shizor on arc. And at that point, is it worth just arc dodging with Shizor himself? It's a difficult one.
I tend to take the approach of flying all of my list just down my opponent's throat and just accepting the fact that if they want to shoot at Zizor, I get to pass stuff off. And if they don't, then Zizor's going to get some fairly unanswered shots in return, because he can punch quite hard.
Oh yes, there's no debate about that. Right, let me just pull up the overlay here. The upgrades are indeed incorrect, so I'll just quickly get rid of those so there's no confusion. But it is interesting that Guri does have the Vigaro title, so she, of course, has a sensor slot that can be used.
So we're seeing quite a measured approach from Duncan here. We've got those Black Sun soldiers all coming in very slowly. I think he's wanting to see how the StarVipers commit themselves before he puts himself too much in harm's way. And Guri is coming around down the bottom of the board there, looking, I think, to flank in and try and get behind the list.
That's a boost. Very bold move there from Chris. I'm not sure if he could definitely get number 2 into formation next to it. Whether he's trying to set up a kill line for number 2 there, the Z95 number 2. Oh, he's turned away. I'm not sure that's the best move. He wants to converge fire, and as it stands, that Black Sun Forcer now is vulnerable. I mean, yes, it's a Z95, but never underestimate the 95, in my opinion. It's quite an underestimated little ship, especially when it has missiles on board.
Yeah, because they're all packing assault missiles and glitter stim, so that's quite a punchy lineup.
Oh, indeed. They can punch damage through, and especially with the assault missiles, that splash damage that can come. I mean, look at number 3, where number 3 has just barreled to. If 3 were to get hit, 4 would take a damage as well. So maybe splitting up is a good idea. That could just get 4 beyond range 1. The problem is Chris is now playing to Duncan's style. He's reacting to Duncan's list and not acting on his own. He needs to force Duncan to engage 1. Ideally, he wants Duncan to try and spend as many missiles on one ship as he needs, because once they're all gone, the Z95s lose their bite.
I think he may be Chris may be looking to try and do some range control here and make sure that the opening exchange happens at range 3. At which point his auto thrusters get him a bit more. Oh no, there's no auto thrusters on there. There's no upgrades.
No upgrades. There's no
in
upgrades.
That case, I'm a bit puzzled
Yes.
about what's happening here. He really wants to be closing in, trying to deny those missile shots if he can, because range 3 makes his attacks worse, and because he's going to be getting hit by a lot of secondary weapon fire, it does not improve his defences. And all of those StarVipers, because they've taken boosts or barrel rolls, they've done a lot of manoeuvring, but they don't have any dice modification.
Yeah.
So there's a real risk that these assault missiles are going to come in and just smash in really hard.
I don't see a Black Sun Enforcer surviving this round. I mean, that's good there. He's just beyond range 3 of that Black Sun. That's really nice range control there. How long it lasts remains to be seen. But it does mean that he can probably rush in next turn and try and get range 1 and hopefully do some considerable damage on those Black Sun soldiers. Now, here's the question. It seems to be we're going to have one-on-one ship engagements here, which is very unusual, I think. You usually see a convergence where ships tend to target all the one target and focus down fire rather than split their fire. Do you think both are making a mistake or are just trying to go, since they're equal numbers, it doesn't really matter?
I'm a great believer in focused concentrated fire.
Yes.
In X-Wing, and I'm surprised to see such a split deployment. I think Chris has been slightly forced into it at this point.
Yes.
He is concerned about those assault missiles, and rightly so, because the splash damage can hurt the StarVipers quite badly. They've only got 4 hull and a shield apiece, so 1 point of damage going in there is meaningful, and particularly 1 point of splash damage takes that shield away and suddenly makes them immediately crit vulnerable.
And here comes Guri getting in range 1, not being blocked by a Black Sun Soldier number 4 there, which that means Guri's going to get her free focus because thanks to her pilot ability, which her pilot ability is basically when she's in range 1 at the start of the combat phase, when she's in range 1 of an opponent, assign a focus token to her. So that could result in that poor Black Sun Enforcer not lasting too much longer.
I think it's in a lot of trouble here.
Yes.
I am surprised to see a barrel roll happening here, though.
Yeah,
that seems like that's going to take Guri out of arc of number 4. But might also remove. Maybe Guri is still keeping arc there though. If that barrel roll is keeping Guri's arc, but and keeping range 1, then it's a decent call though.
Yeah, I think you're correct there. He wants to try. It's the bread and butter of arc dodges. You want to try and get out of someone else's arc while getting them into your arc.
Just not 100% certain he's maintained that firing arc.
That's the thing is. Just from this angle, we get a good idea, but we can't know for absolute certainty where he's going. Now, next round is very simple call, I think. Do a 1 turn, I think, maybe.
He's just pushed the limit.
That's true.
He's stressed himself.
So he's pretty confident he's going to get some... Which I don't think that's the right call, because...
I think the positioning of that debris may be causing him some problems next turn, because the StarViper's green moves are not desperately forgiving. It's 1 banks and then I think 1, 2 and 3 straights. So and here we've got some range firepower coming in from Guri.
And there's 4 hits right there off the bat, and this is not looking good. And blank, focus, blank. That's number 4 with its shield gone and a damage card assigned to it. So already the open exchange is not looking favourable.
Oh no, it's taking a crit.
And a crit as well. Hit and a crit. Ouch. That's
difficult
painful.
to see what that crit is,
It is difficult, but I'm sure they'll keep us informed of what's going on. So that's a hit and a crit. And already that StarViper is down to half. Or over half its hit points, essentially.
I think the crit may be a moot point very rapidly here, actually.
Because here comes number 4 to 1 hit.
Oh, just primary weapon.
Primary weapon fire. I suppose he doesn't want to waste the missile.
You see, I would go for confirming the kill. Like if you take that StarViper off the board, you're not having to worry about anything further. Oh, that looks like it.
It's taken another damage card, so it did flap out, and this is where the StarViper starts to show its downside. It's got a good number of defense dice, but without modification, it's just nothing, and it's not got a dial as good as, say, an A-Wing or an TIE Interceptor to be able to arc dodge or speedily get out and into the engagement.
I think the Black Sun Enforcer really suffers when it's compared to the Zealous Recruit. Fang.
Yeah.
Like the Protectorate Starfighter only loses a shield, has a better dial, has the same like attack and agility, and is 5 points less. I think it's really telling how heavily costed that the generics for the StarViper are.
Okay, and it seems to be we have an assault missile being fired now from Black Sun Soldier number 2 to Black Sun Enforcer number 1. That's blue 2 to red 1. And we
Only
have
2 hits.
Only 2 hits.
So that's not.
I guess he decided not to fire the missiles after all.
No. I think he's just not had much luck with the dice there.
That's true, actually. But 2 focus results. That's still a shield and something. I think there was a shield gone off there. Nope. Actually, no, it was nothing. So, verily avoided there. And here comes the returned fire. And that's a shield off number 2. That's something, but it's not enough, I think. I'm pretty sure that could have been a bit more, and should have been a bit more damaging, and Chris wanted to get as much damage through in that Z95, and sadly it wasn't to be.
I am actually quite surprised that Chris has still got all 4 of his Starvipers after that opening exchange.
Yes, I think he got very lucky with the last few dice rolls. I mean, well, look at that. 1, 2, 3 hits. That's the kind of luck you want when you're doing attacks, and that's the kind of luck you want your opponent to have, though two focus results will save Zguri from taking too much damage.
Only 1 shield.
Only 1 shield. But it's something. It's a plink, plink, plink. Again, but if you look at the difference, it's a shield off 2 different ships versus a nearly dead StarViper.
Yeah.
And I think that quite clearly...
concentrated fire.
Yeah, I think that quite clearly shows...
So we've only seen 2 dice being rolled there. I think that means we've got a weapon failure crit on number 4.
Makes sense. Well, so number 4 has only attack dice of 2, and it looks like that was very hardly avoided right there.
Looks like we've got a little bit of activity in the chat as well.
Yes, hello, Collier020179. Hi, Guy. I'm from Stratford-upon-Avon. Just been checking out X-Wing. Looks really interesting. Just watched the January tournament and loved the coverage. Any tips on a noob starting X-Wing? Well, actually, we've been giving some good advice. Converge fire really is a good idea. You really want to focus down on a target and take out that target and guarantee the kill, as you say, rather than spreading your fire across various different ships. The difference here is actually quite clearly shown in the overlay. Through splitting his fire, Chris has only plinked off a shield off the Black Sun Soldier and Guri, while a concentrated effort by just 2 ships have nearly killed Black Sun Enforcer and would have killed an Enforcer had there been a bit more different dice results there.
Yeah.
And that's the big difference. That would have been a ship gone from Chris' side of the board, and then at that point you're on the defensive.
Yeah.
Your points down, so if it were to go to time for some odd reason, you'd be losing. So converging fire is a good idea. Do you have any more advice? You've been to more competitive events than I have, really.
I think now's a pretty great time to be getting into X-Wing. It seems like there is an awful lot that you need to catch up with potentially, but actually,
yes,
the FFG have done a lot to mean that it's a bit easier to get in. They've been doing some nice X-Wing 101 articles actually on the website about how you can get into the game at a moderately competitive level for $101. So
very good piece of articles as well. It's
Yeah.
nice to see that, especially when you think that we've got 11 waves or 10 waves worth of expansions, and people look at that these days and think that's a big investment. But really, it starts small, collect what you want, and only when you go to compete, because in casual play, no one's going to care if you've got the card or not.
Yeah.
If you go to a tournament, that's entirely different. But if you've got a rare card like Auto Thrusters, which only comes in the StarViper expansion, just proxy it. And providing you ask your opponent and they're fine with it, which they pretty much should be.
Nice bit of positioning from Chris there. A 1 hard
That
turn
is
and a barrel
really
roll.
good.
That's going to block a slow 1 forwards from Black Sun Soldier number 2, and if it turns in to try and engage with the rest of the exchange, it's going to be nicely planted in that firing arc.
At this point, I'd expect Duncan to pull probably a K turn to catch that and maneuver out, which actually might end him just enough space to turn in again the next turn. So that might actually benefit Duncan to do that. He would be stressed, though, it's worth noting.
The Z95 does have a slightly awkward dial when it comes to shedding stress because its green banks are 2-speed.
Yeah, which is same with the E-Wing. It's a very unusual thing to have, especially when you consider that it's the predecessor to the X-Wing, so you don't think it's going to be better, but I think it's to convey that it's not as heavy as the X-Wing.
Yeah.
So
But I'm for a jousting ship, which fundamentally is what the Z95 is. I very highly value the ability to slow roll in, come in nice and slowly.
he's parked that Enforcer right in front of that debris field and in front of the Black Sun Soldier number 4. Now, unless there's a bump or collision there, then that's probably not the right place for it.
Chris is taking action to try and clear the weapons failure by the look of it.
He gets a crit, so it does get flipped face down. So, flip, boom. He now fires with all 3 dice, but however, with only 1 hull point left, I don't think he's going to get a chance to fire that shot. So actually, I think that's a bit of a waste of endeavour, really.
It's interesting though. We've got quite a net of StarVipers there. I think, and here we go. Yeah, number 2 is banking in,
exposing its flank to the StarViper number red 1. So that could be taking some serious damage ahead. Duncan probably will take a focus result since he spent the missiles. So better to get quality on dice with focus rather than that. Yes, certainly. I'll find them up now while Robin continues with the commentary.
I think there's a real risk that Duncan ends up getting a bit blocked in here. I'm expecting some slow movement. Probably from these Z95s in the hope of keeping arc in place, and any of their K turns are going to just land them fairly awkwardly. Number 4 might be able to do a 3K turn behind Black Sun Enforcer number 3, but it's going to be tight. So that's 1 forwards we're seeing there. I think that's a good call. It's going to give Duncan a reasonable range of shots, and I think he may still have a target lock. Oh no, that one does not have a target lock currently. So.
Yeah,
difficult to know what he's going to do with that. I think number 3 in fact may have used its. Oh no, there's a target lock coming there. So
there's a target lock.
There's some missile firing.
And again, you can see he's converging fire on 1 target. So he's realised he can't shoot 3 with both. The only shot he can get with both targets is number 2, because he knows that's not going to move, and he can quite clearly get that.
Number 4 is attempting a 1 forwards, but I think that's not going to clear.
No way is that going to clear.
And helpfully from Chris's perspective as well, that's bumped into number 4, which is the vulnerable one.
Yes.
So number 4 is probably only going to be taking fire from Guri at this point.
Which that's still dangerous.
Maybe not even then, because Guri is in an awkward position where she's stressed. She's got that debris field in a slightly inconvenient place. I'm expecting probably a 1 bank into the left here, but it will be.
I mean,
and here we go. It's actually a
disengaging.
It's a bank away, disengaging. So Guri is clearing her stress. She's boosting around the debris field, but Duncan's losing on a turn of shooting with Guri, which is really his heavy hitting, queen piece, as it were.
Which that might actually. Oh, there goes the camera. I better go and fix that in a minute. That might actually keep number 4 alive a bit longer.
Yeah.
Because with blue 4 can't attack red 4. The only target which might have arc on red 4 is number 2.
I'm a little uncertain about some of Duncan's manoeuvring here. I can see his logic, but he's pushed the limit again. He's pushing himself back onto those green manoeuvres, which means he can't do a hard turn in next turn, and it's gonna slow down how easily he can approach the battlefield and re-engage Guri. So yeah, this could be a good exchange for Chris if he can get some reasonable luck on the dice. Though it does look like that's some relatively accurate shooting happening from the Z95s.
2 hits.
2 hits. I think that may have been 2 evades there, but he's had to spend his focus token to get that in place.
So now less quality on the attack offense, which is, that's part of the game with X-Wing. You've got to consider, do I want to use it for attack or defense? And of course, if you're going to die, use it for defense, but it does make you think quite a lot. And I've just found the articles. Which the best one I think is the Imperial Veterans 101, which actually talks about getting in with.
We've got some assault missiles coming in as well. I think those are going in against number 2, so at least number 4 won't be suffering the splash.
Focus, hit. Well, he's got guidance ships and a focus, so turn those up to. Well, he's got a focus, so he just turns them both up to hits and spend the focus there. That looks like an evade, and that's it. Spending the focus to get probably an evade there. But I believe that's a damage card on number 2. Yep. So number 2 has lost its shields and taken a damage. Check of distance, and it looks like 3 is just within range 1, so 3 also takes a damage. And there's where the assault missile comes into play. That was good use there by Duncan to shoot at that target.
Chris can at least breathe a sigh of relief that he's not getting any damage splashed onto number 4, though.
No, that would have been disastrous for him, I think.
And then we've had one final shot, I think, going into number 3.
Well, number 3 has got 4 shields left, and
so
there's a damage card, and there's another crit, going through
as well.
That looks like it's some kind of damaged cockpit, I think. Damaged engine. All turns are red.
Turns are red. That's
very
big.
Bad
for a StarViper.
That is big for a StarViper. It means that it partially lives on its turns, really. It's got a 1 hard turn, which is very effective, especially for a turn and barrel. There's a shot in returning fire, and that looks to be a crit and a hit there. And Blackstone Soldier number 4 has just taken its shield off and drawn a damage card, which is a direct hit, which means instantly that thing is removed from play.
That's quite helpful.
That is very helpful.
That is a big swing in Chris's favour there. That block with number 4 was very nicely judged and is proving quite costly for Duncan. That staggered movement in as well with 3 and 4 meant that Chris was covering a lot of board area and a lot of ground and really limited the options that Z95.
And here comes 2 against 3 here, and there's hit, blank and a focus result with no focus to spend. That's another couple of shields going off those ships, or number 3 I should say. And there goes... Oh, just 1 shield?
Just 1. Okay, so an evade result there. And then number 1 has got very comfortably a range 1 shot into the rear of Blackstone Soldier 2.
Crit. And a hit. And it looks to be we've got an evade there. So it looks like number 2 just takes 1 and done.
This is where Chris's manoeuvring is costing him a little bit, though, because he's not got any modification on those attack dice. He's getting himself into some reasonably good positions, but not having attack dice modification is proving a bit painful.
The next round is going to be key, I think, which I'm going to quickly go through and sort the camera out in a second, but I think Duncan is probably going to slow roll. Number 3 probably has to K-turn to stay in the combat engagement. Guri can now turn back into the engagement, which is nice. However, 2 is left a bit exposed here because a sloop from 2, red 2, would block number 1 if it did a slow roll. But if it K-turned, it would catch it out. However, it's then at the mercy of 2, 1, and maybe even both 3 and 4. 3 would have a hard time, but to be fair, I might just say balls to the wall, just go through the brief field. Take the stress on the chin, get arc, and punch damage through.
I think
you want to take out another Z95 or even both before Guri gets back into the game.
Yeah, I think Chris is in an interesting position here, but all of his ships move first, so it's a bit harder for Duncan to plan on where everything's going to be, and there is the possibility of pulling some blocks off.
Yeah.
Number 2 is healthy enough that you can probably afford to put it into a slightly bad situation and take a shot from Guri to get a block on number 3, because I think a 1 hard turn to the right followed by a barrel roll backwards would block the 3K.
That is true.
But you're leaving yourself then very vulnerable if you decide just to go 1 forwards instead.
I still think a sloop with 2 would catch you in arc and still give space for 1 to come through, maybe even blocking number 2, blue 2 if you're lucky, and give space for 3 and 4 to pull in as well.
I'm inclined to agree.
I'm not sure whether that's the best call. I could be wrong, because it's very hard to... Even now, I still find it very hard to kind of judge distances a bit, especially with the banks. The straight's very easy. The turns...
I think number 2 has got a nice clear path for the 3 sloop there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fine. It's
number 3 is the one where I'm really uncertain about where it's going, because that position against the debris field, there we go, that's going forward.
Oh dear.
That's going to be a bump as well.
I believe that is going to be up, and that's unfortunate because it means that Z95 is not going to be there next turn, and it's unlikely that 2 is going to turn into arc for it. So we might be getting no shots from that Z95, and it could very well be that Z95 that dies this round. So
but Chris has really got to hope he doesn't see a crit result, but he doesn't.
He doesn't. He's fine.
That's good news.
He does still gain stress.
That would be bad.
I think it would have been better to just go for it, especially if you're going to go through it anyway. You might as well do a fantastically great maneuver like a turn. And here's a... Oh,
That's going to be tight.
that's going to be tight.
If this lands, it's quite a good manoeuvre. If it clips that asteroid, he's in serious trouble.
He's fine. He's in.
Okay, good show.
That is a very good bit of manoeuvring there. Fantastic.
Number 2 really needs to hope it didn't turn in towards those StarVipers, I think.
Otherwise, it's in trouble. And here's where number 2 is going to come in. I don't think it's going to sloop because just one bank.
So there we go. What Chris is doing is he's trying to ensure a block.
Yes.
Number 2, I think, may well be dying to a hail of StarVipers.
It's not just that, he's creating a kill box so that wherever that Z95 goes, he has some form of coverage on it and can fire at it. Because one is just going to do a 1 forward or a 1 bank and most likely going to crash, but it's going to have a... Oh no, it's going to do a 3 that to make sure it gets its action. Interesting. And this is now, there's nowhere where 3 can go. 3 is basically blocked completely, meaning he will stay exactly where he is, or at most end up crashed into 2, unless he pulls a K turn.
Yeah, I think we might see a 3K from number 3 here. Number 2 is in very serious trouble.
A 3K would pull it off.
There's obstacles, there's StarVipers everywhere. That is not a comfortable position for that 75.
No, this could be the difference maker. This really could be the round where it swings. And so far, it has swung. Although Chris has taken the damage, what matters is a dead ship, and he has not lost a ship yet.
Does that 3K clear?
That does clear. He's fine. And what a fantastic bit of manoeuvring there from
That is
Duncan.
very good news for him.
The only thing which he's got to worry about is where number 1 is going. But if number 1 has crashed into the back of 2, he's getting a shot from 4 and 3, but... and 2. 2 is definitely going to get caught. 3 is now in a very good position.
We are just looking at primary attacks, however, at this point, and unmodified primary attacks from the Z95s.
It seems that the Z95 was also hoping for a K turn, but got denied.
So that's blocked and stressed and out of position.
Yeah. However, he does only bump against number 2, which I think is actually better for him than if he hit number 2, red 2.
So he's bumped red 1 there.
Yeah, he's bumped red 1.
So that's the full health one.
Yeah.
No. Ideally, what Chris would have liked to have is one of those Z95s collide with one of his damaged StarVipers and just like... He wants to spread the damage around as much as he can, and as things stand, I'm expecting... Both 4 and 3 are vulnerable enough to potentially get taken out here.
And here comes Guri, clearing the stress with the 1 bank. She has got a boost, so she can... get further distance around. She will not get her focus for that result, though. But an attack
does have pushed the limit. But I think again, Duncan probably wants to hold off on pushing for a turn and give himself an opportunity to get into a better position. He's got a couple of shots there, but they're on number 2 and number 1 and number 2, which are the least damage to the StarVipers.
That's the thing with push the limit. It kind of encourages you to do. When you have it, you're kind of tempted to do it every turn, every time you get an opportunity to do it. And I think that's usually... And here comes a barrel, so he's pushing the limit for this one.
Okay.
It sets him up for a good position next turn. A 1 forward would clear the stress. However, he is in danger of getting blocked by number 1 if 1 is still living.
I think he's going for some concerted, concentrated fire on StarViper 3.
Yes.
Here. StarViper
he's going for 2, which 3 is through to be pre-filled, so there is that, but... 2's got a focus, so I don't think this is the right call by Duncan.
So it's 3 unmodified.
Oh no, he's going for number 3.
If he can take... So number 4's only on 1. If he can manage to just land 1 damage on that, he's in a good position.
Range 3 through a debris field with a focus token. I'm not sure the odds are in his favour on that one. But it seems to be that
Is that Guri's glitter stim going off?
I believe that's number 2's glitter stim going off. So number 2 has got glitter stem, so he will turn all focus results to evade or hit.
Okay.
So, which is going to keep
definitely helps.
It might keep it alive. It's 2 hull left. I think he wants to keep it alive this round, so we can do some more damage with it next round. Of course, avoid losing points to Chris at this point in the game. We've just been playing for about 35 minutes now, just under 35 minutes, with 41 minutes left of the game. But though I think we might see an end to this game long before that time has expired.
Chris is in a better position than I'd anticipated, though, from his early opening.
I completely agree. I thought it was a mistake. However, he's somehow brought it back into a convergence, and he's created a very good kill box there.
There's been some very nice positional play.
Oh, we had someone actually join us now. Hello. One and two is going for number red. Blue 2 is going for red 2. So we're gonna have exchange of fire. 3 dice from number 2 with Glitterstone means he converts all focus. There's the focus converted there to hit.
Okay, this is
Focus
problematic for Chris.
2
here.
evades on number 2, which keeps it alive but on 1 hull. Unfortunately, with the Black Sun soldier and Guri right behind it, I don't think that thing's
2
gonna
hull
last
remaining.
much longer.
Yeah, that's quite punishing. So what are we looking at there? Is that
Crit, hit, and I believe we're going to look at our first StarViper being destroyed today. There's the 3rd hit, there's the crit, and it is removed from play. Destroyed. Boom.
yeah. Duncan got quite lucky with his dice there. Like the K-turn with Black Sun Soldier number 3 was well called, well judged. But yeah, costly. And we've got a bit of return fire coming back. So, and there's a Z95 taken off. Black Sun Soldier number 3 dies to some fire from, I think, number 1 there.
Ouch. So things are now starting to completely get taken out of the play immediately. It's turned into a slugfest really quickly. I didn't expect it to get this bloody.
So we've got 1 hit coming in.
And 1 hit.
Some Glitterstim helps keep that Z95 on the board.
However, it's worth noting Chris is still in the lead. He has 2 kills over 1, but the Black Sun Enforcer is actually they probably equate to about the same point cost with the missiles and the upgrades on the Z95s. So he is still in the lead, probably just barely.
Chris has got a lead for the time being. However, he does now have the issue that he's got Guri bearing down very fast. And if this turns into 2 Black Sun Enforcers versus Guri, that is going to be Duncan's game because she's going to have the high skill advantage. She's going to have consistent dice modification.
She's going to have
advantage.
everything. She's going to be able to avoid shots coming her way very easily, unless she's blocked. But then if you're blocked, you're not firing, unless you've got 2 ships and they're converging. But even then, a ship is still vulnerable to Guri. Don't forget, people, if you actually want to keep track of when we are broadcasting, you can follow us on Twitch if you're watching this on Twitch, and you'll get emails through to alert you when we're broadcasting, and we've got a new streaming schedule. We're going to be broadcasting every 1st and 3rd Wednesday evening, 7 o'clock British Summer Time, and we're having 2 matches every Wednesday, flight night. So that's 1st and 3rd Wednesday, 2 matches, which you can also catch on YouTube at a later time. So be sure to follow us to make sure you get alerts for when we go live. So yeah, good morning, Commander Selfano. Nice to see you back here once again. Guri is looking fairly healthy, and Black Sun Enforcer number 1 is the only ship that's not taken any damage so far in this game. That Black Sun Soldier number 2 it could go down from 4, 3, and maybe even 1 if 1 does a sloop. I mean, a sloop probably might even block Guri. I would be tempted.
I think a sloop from number 1 would actually not be a bad call at this
No,
point in time.
I think that would be a wise manoeuvre.
Number 3 is in a very awkward situation.
Yeah.
It's stressed. It's got your hard turns are red crits, so cannot do the 1 turn in that I would be wanting to make here.
If he was unstressed, he'd be fine. He'd just sloop left and it would be all good.
Yeah, there we go. Chris is just going for some forward momentum, clearing some stress.
Probably a barrel.
I'd go for a defensive action here because I don't think you're.
Actually,
there's not too much risk of the arc from number 2.
Oh.
Boost round, I don't think will clear.
I don't think that will clear it at all. Nope. I would just leave him where he is, and as you say, he's going for a barrel roll. I actually think you are correct thinking about it. Taking defensive action would be better because a sloop next turn would have got you round and would have avoided the asteroid. So I don't think he would have lost much. However, now he could be vulnerable to either the soldier or Guri. 1 bank, that's a mistake. I think a sloop would have caught The soldier possibly could have blocked Guri as well.
The thing is, because Guri is likely to be doing slow manoeuvres, because of that,
Just push the limit.
push the limit.
Yeah.
Like with target lock, interesting choice. I probably would have gone for a focus there because on your attack dice it gives you an equal modification chance and it gives you defensive mods.
Now here's the question, and that's where is number 2 going? Because to clear the stress, that's at least 1 forward, which would bump StarViper number 1, which I'll move the tokens now to signify who is where. It seems to be wherever that thing is going to go, it's going to hit a StarViper, and that could be good or bad for Chris, depending which one he hits.
As well, so his options are a bit limited in terms of trying to clear that.
He's chosen to ignore the stress and go for a turn, which actually could be bad for him because it means he's going to hit number 4, but get Arc on no one maybe, unless he just clicks the back of number 1. But it doesn't look like he does.
Maybe not. It's one of those ones where you'd need some.
I don't know. I think that's quite clearly out there on both targets.
I have to admit, if I was Chris there, I would probably be wanting to snooker my Black Sun Enforcer off the board and see how precision we could do that bump. Because I think there's some really important things to happen here.
And here is where it all pays off.
Yeah, that's that 2 forwards very nicely into position.
Black Sun and Soldier number 2, the Z95, Blue 2, is no danger this round. Guri is the only threat, and there are 2 StarVipers bearing down upon Guri's position.
Now there's a very, very real risk that number 4 gets taken off the board.
Yes, I think we'll see 4 die this round. He has got focus, but with 4 dice coming at him from Guri, and Guri gets her focus because she's at range 1 of an enemy, if Duncan remembers, of course, there's a good chance that 4 will die. That being said, Guri has target locked number 3. So there is the temptation, maybe, to fire at number 3. Oh,
I'm not certain about that barrel roll.
Nor am I. I don't think that's.
I'd have gone for the double focus there.
You see, now there's the risk that he might not have number 4 in arc at all, which number 1 is your target, and you're not going to kill number 1 with just 1 fire unless you get very lucky.
You'd need to get very lucky.
You need to get 2 direct hits to kill that Black Sun Enforcer. But Glitter Stim is being popped by Duncan on Guri, so Guri will convert all focus results, which it's weird.
Hold on, he's moved into position. He's barrel rolled. He hasn't pushed the limit. Okay, so he's not double stressed this turn.
However, he has forgotten the focus that Guri gets from being at range 1 of an enemy. And blank out on a Glitter Stim roll. That's when you want your target lock, and he doesn't have it.
No, that's punishing.
That's focus. No, that's an evade. That's enough. So the Black Sun Enforcer...
That's quite a heavy swing back in Chris's favour there.
The Glitter Stim did nothing.
And we're seeing number 2 has no shots.
All blanks, spending the target lock because he has a target lock to spend.
Yeah.
Why not? That's the kind of response you want, a hit and hit. But 2 evades, thanks to Glitter Stim, means that Guri survives this round. Hit, crit, hit. That should do something to Guri. There's 2 evade results, but Guri takes a critical hit in response. And this could be the very critical hit that swings the game.
Having that shield taken off Guri early on was quite punishing.
And it's amazing to see that at the beginning we thought this was that's a damage sensor array. Guri cannot perform her actions. That could be the game changer there.
That is bad, but not the worst. If Guri can manage to maintain range 1 of someone, she gets the focus.
True.
And that focus is probably what she needs. 1 is in quite a strong position though, undamaged, got some very clear lanes for an S-leap in either direction.
Well, I actually think that he needs to consider where Guri is going. Is Guri going to sloop right? Because she can't sloop left, and if she turns left, she's probably going to find herself outmaneuvered. Whereas a sloop right would probably catch someone, but if Chris sees it coming, he can converge both 1 and 4 on Guri's position.
As well from the Glitter Stim.
That is true. So she can't do the sloop. So she has to do a green maneuver, and that can severely limit her options. She's got to either...
You could make an argument for doing a 1 hard turn in. to the left. You'll keep your stress, but you'll get some better positioning out of it, and hopefully someone's going to end up parked at range 1 of you, but that's then leaving you with some problematic decisions to make for next turn.
Especially since if you lose your actions, which yes, you can't do your actions anyway, but that could kill Guri if she's in the wrong position. I think we're seeing a fantastic example here where a apparently losing situation can be turned around by some very good and tactical plays and manoeuvring on Chris's part.
Yeah.
I mean, we thought that Duncan had this very much in his advantage, but good positioning and blocking by Chris has resulted in the game swinging completely in his favour. The Black Sun Soldier will die to 1 converged fire from 2 or even just 1 StarViper, and Guri's not going to last too long either.
Duncan rather needs to get very on the ball.
Number 3 is getting out. I would
have gone for a sloop away there.
Yeah, I think he's because it's not too difficult for 2 just to go do a 2-turn and catch him.
Yeah.
Then at least you've got a shot on number 2 if you survive, which you could die if you blank out and he gets all hits, but there's not a high chance of that.
Chris has been doing quite a good job here of swapping the available targets in and out.
That is also a good point. And here's a 3 bank. Is that a sloop?
I would hope it's a sloop.
Yep, there we go. That's the sloop. So
that's a good call as well. That's the direction you wanted to go in. As Guri is probably going to be coming in down towards the left, her left here. And that's going to put you in a strong position to chase and follow with the StarViper's limited green moves.
And here comes 4, probably trying to block a manoeuvre from Guri to clear that stress.
So that is blocking Guri's 1 bank in. If Guri goes 1 forwards, she is slap bang in front of number 4 as well.
Yeah.
Possibly without a return shot.
A 1-turn might be blocked as well. I'm not sure. It's close, but and here comes the 2-turn from the Z95, trying to catch number 3, which, as I said before, all it'll take is for 2 can hits from the Z95 and a blank out on the StarViper for that thing to die. So
it's unmodified dice though. It's unmodified dice on both sides.
On both sides.
But Chris does at least have an additional dice in place here.
And here comes a sloop from Guri. I thought he might try for the sloop.
Wasn't Guri stressed from the glitter stim? That is possibly one where we need to just go and...
Yes, I'm going to go and check that at the game state, because that's very important. You have got a good point there.
So, while Elliot is just having a quick check on what the state of play is over there, we found ourselves with quite an interesting match on our hands. We were I think both a little worried that Chris was quite substantially out pilot skilled. The Black Sun Enforcer's pilot skill 1 has a real potential to be a disadvantage, as if you can get one of your ships focused off early, then you lose firepower very quickly. But Chris has done a very good job of maintaining his ships on the board. He's been doing some fantastically good positioning here. He's kept those blocks happening where he needs to. I'm not 100% in each case that, and that looks like that stress has been taken into account. Now, unfortunately, that's going to be Duncan having revealed a red manoeuvre while stressed, which means he's going to perform a white 2 forwards. And that's going to not only keep his stress, but it's going to get him another stress as he lands on the debris field. That is putting him...
changes the game state.
Yeah, that is bad news. That is... Guri is double stressed. She's on a debris field. She's going to be passing through a debris field with her next manoeuvre as well. And this is us assuming she gets a next manoeuvre. She does at least have the advantage of... getting that focus token from range 1, which is a big help at this stage.
Yeah.
But I think Duncan just got a bit unlucky there with... I think he hadn't assigned that stress token down.
No, he didn't.
And not maintaining your board state can be very costly.
Yes, because all it takes is for your opponent to remember, you should have put a stress on there, and you're now stressed. And you've already plotted in a red manoeuvre. He couldn't change it. He had to do the 2 forward.
Yeah.
In the
if it had been caught before the activation phase, then they could have done something about it. But that's...
Well, there's a hit there from number 4, I believe. Or was it number 1? We'll soon find out. No, this is number 4, because that's a range 1 shot, Ouch! That's 4 hits on Guri.
That I think
that-
is going to be game.
Guri got very lucky with 3 evade results there.
Did she get 3 evades? Okay, that's incredibly helpful.
But I believe that's still a crit to Guri. So depending what the crit is, this could be even more damaging for Guri herself. This is currently the first round. Thrust control fire.
So triple stress. There's...
Oh no. Guri has been shanked with the stress this round. Ouch. I think we might have just seen the conclusion.
I think that's probably game changing.
The coup de grace, as it were.
Because Chris can now roll number 1 forwards in a very controlled manner. He knows that there is a limited number of places that Guri can go. He can drop the stress from his S-loop, pick up some dice modification to try and hammer something onto Guri.
This good call on the glitter stim. I don't play glitter stim, so I didn't realise you had to put a stress, but you are correct. And
I mean, I'm sorry to have slapped Duncan with a bit of a bad situation there, but
it was important. And
Yeah.
there's no, it's not like it's like a May trigger. You must take the stress.
Yeah.
So yeah, and we all want to make sure a consistent board state. Granted, Chris also should have picked up on it, but.
So, interestingly, during my first round of Yavin, we hit on that May must trigger because I was doing some mind link shenanigans, as
Yes.
you do with Paratani. I had passed the focus token off Manaru onto one of my other ships and forgotten to assign a focus token back onto Manaru. But because it's a must trigger, it should have happened anyway.
Yeah.
Me and my opponent at the time both agreed that I'd forgotten it, as it was a missed opportunity. But in retrospect, we had a think about it, and we're like, actually, no, that should have gone ahead. So it's really worth taking a close read of your cards and make sure what's May, what's must.
Oh yes, because Mays are alternate. You can have the choice of triggering that, but a must is this must happen, especially since that stress is such a debilitating part.
Now, do we think we're seeing? Oh no, that's a turn in. That is interesting. So it's a slightly risky gamble here.
He's hoping she doesn't slow roll it.
Yeah.
And if she does...
If she does, then she's still on that debris field. I think Chris is going to be taking some stress. Has he managed to avoid that debris field?
No, I think he is taking a stress for that. I think he just clips the corner.
Okay. If he's managed to avoid the debris field as well, that is a beautifully perfect.
Nope, there goes...
Okay, good.
Yeah, he still takes it. So there's the hit. Yeah. Still nothing of no effect because you only take a crit from the debris field. But as we're saying... As we were talking about...
2 forwards here from this one, are we thinking?
Yeah, I think a 2 forward. Yeah, there it is, 2 forward. No, 3 forward. Very brave.
3 forward. That's going to be a bump, I think. Or is it?
Oh, no.
Perfect.
Wonderful. What a perfect manoeuvre there. And it is green on the StarViper, isn't it? Yeah. There's the focus, so it must be.
1 hard turn doesn't get you out of arc. 2 hard turn doesn't get you out of arc. Guri is in...
She's in trouble.
She's in a bad position here. And if she slow rolls forwards, she's going into the back of that StarViper, and
it's not a good manoeuvring. And here comes number 2 to potentially get hit by his doom because he can't get around fast enough to get Archon number 3. And what it takes is a lucky roll from Chris and an unlucky roll from Duncan, and it's all over.
Yeah.
This has actually been a very interesting game. It's really swung back and forth all the time. Guri's doing a 3 forward.
That, I think, is probably the best of a very bad set of options there.
Yes. However, he still keeps the stress.
Keeping the stress, getting another one from going through the debris field again. But of course it's a green manoeuvre, so he'll have ditched one in the process. He is at least getting some obstruction from, I think, number 1 at the back there. And number 4 doesn't have any dice mods. And he's kept the range 1, so he should be getting the focus. Oh, he's forgotten the focus.
3 hits there for number 4, and that could be all she wrote. There's 2 evades. We're lucky, but one more hit, and Guri takes another poke to doom.
I think we're just going to see Guri. Chris is going to have to get quite unlucky with his dice to not kill Guri here.
Well, there's 2 hit results, and Guri focus. Oh, that's an evade, but I think that was only the evade result there, and Guri is removed from play and she's dead. And that is game, because...
That Z95 can't do enough. particularly just lacking arc.
Even if he were to somehow take down number 3 and survive this round,
And we've got Chris's shot onto number 2 coming in as well, so
there's one hit.
not enough to kill it, but
And there's a focus up which he spends, because why not? Keep it alive. But even if he were to somehow next round take out number 3, he's still got 4 to contend with, and a fully hold and shield StarViper that can arc dodge him.
what we've seen in this game is a demonstration for just how good the StarViper dial can be. It's not great with shedding and dealing with stress, as we've had demonstrated from both sides. Like, it's only got a very limited set of manoeuvres, but at the very least, those manoeuvres are nice, slow ones, which can benefit it in terms of like doing a bit of range control. This is one of the reasons why I'm not a fan of push the limit on the StarViper, though, because it locks you into a very small set of moves.
I completely agree with that.
And like when I'm running Guri, it's normally loanable for Predator. I'm putting on there to like get me some consistent dice mods.
No, I completely agree with you. I think that it is a bad thing to have push them on there. It gives you good economy on your actions. However, the cost of that is the stress, and as we've seen, the stress completely debilitated Guri in the end, because she got in a situation where she couldn't clear the stress, and she just kept on gaining more and more. One because of an debris field, and another one because of a random crit, which was possible. I mean, that was in the deck, and the deck is chosen by you, the player. So it was Duncan's almost fault, really, for having... Isn't that crit the same across both decks as well, anyway?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can't avoid it. So
We need to have a chat and tell you off.
what did I do?
Didn't put something on your event page.
Just be right there.
Bit late now, but
Z95 with a K-turn.
Nicely judged.
Very
Nicely
nicely
judged.
judged.
Just keeping yourself on the board there.
Yeah.
That is a brave call. I would not have been confident about that K-turn completing myself.
No, I wouldn't have risked it, but no arc though. He does survive another round, however, he's now in a very unfortunate spot where if he goes to engage with 4 or 1, which he could kill 4, he has got a better chance of killing 4 than he has of 3.
If Duncan can manage to take a ship off the board, he gets some MOV back, he'll have gone 150. That is not...
However, Chris...
That is not a shabby place to be after round 1.
The thing is, Chris knows this, so he could probably... a 2 bank to the left from the Z95 would probably catch 4 and permit him to remove the stress because of the green manoeuvre. So that would be a good play for him. However, it means Chris could very easily, lazily roll his StarViper up with speed 1 or 2 and catch the rear of that Z95.
I would be very inclined towards a 4 forwards with StarViper number 4, and then either a boost or barrel roll in and block the slow manoeuvres from the Z95. And if he goes fast, then number 4's not getting shot at.
Yep, that's a good point.
And 1 and 3 can both slowly move in. Like I'm fully anticipating a 1 forwards from number 1 here. Clear your stress, get your dice mods, have a strong position.
I'm going to put it going straight on that camera. We're right back.
So we've got a 2 forwards happening from Black Sun Enforcer number 3. That is very clearly an attempt to block the 1 and 2 forwards, and some of the banks from number 2. Interestingly, Chris doesn't seem as concerned about number 4 getting shot at here. I mean, he's got a fair point. He's got 3 green dice. He's got some dice modification from the focus. Less certain about that bank, but not a bad call. Okay, so number 2 is our remaining Black Sun Soldier Z95. Hi guys, yeah, we're still on round 1. Just coming up towards the end of round 1. I think we've got 4 rounds today with no cut, so there's another 3 matches to come after this. And yeah, that is a 1 forwards bumping into the side of that StarViper. That is bad news for that Black Sun Soldier. They do at least have a shot on number 4, and if he can just manage to punt that damage, little bit of damage through, we've got a hit there. So Chris needs to not blank out. He doesn't blank out, and I think this is going to be game from this turn of shooting, unless Duncan gets remarkably lucky. Yeah, 2 hits, and then another shot coming in. Spend the focus for 3 hits. and that's it. That's game. 16 minutes left on the clock. Chris fairly emphatically takes that. He's only given up 25 points of margin of victory there. Very tidily done. Spread his damage nicely around the squad as well. So, again, as we were saying, concentrated focus fire is quite an important thing in X-Wing. Yeah, that was quite punishing. And going into that, I really thought Duncan had got the stronger list as well. But Chris did some fantastically good blocking moves there. He has kept everything nicely tight and contained. That kill box that he set up about halfway through the game in the middle of that debris and asteroid field.
Did I overcorrect?
No, that looks fairly good.
Fairly perfect.
We've lost maybe just a tiny sliver of the bottom of the board, but not enough, I think, to be concerned about.
That was actually a very interesting game.
Yeah, and I was just saying, I really thought Duncan had got the stronger list going into that and had got likely a big advantage there. But Chris's consistent, accurate blocking really won in the game, and he leveraged that pilot skill onto his advantage rather than it being a detriment.